Eddie. He's there.
Just in case there are any undercover police officers in the crowd, I have never met Mark Emery. I am not one of the people that Rebecca Eckler referred to in her article that Mark Emery gave some marijuana last night to a number of presenters. I wasn't even at the party. I don't do drugs. But Mark, my number is 366-3961. And I know I'm going to hear from you. I read very recently that each one of you paid $3,000 to come here for 3 days and listen to 60 speakers. So 60 into 3,000 is $50. And therefore, I understand that my obligation to you is to deliver a $50 idea.
Eddie's normal hourly rates, your time's already up.
Now I ask myself, what happens if I deliver a $40 idea? Do I owe each of you $10? If that's true, and I deliver you a $60 idea, then you each owe me $10. I don't know what kind of idea I'm going to deliver, but I know this. On top of being expected to deliver an extravagant $50 idea, I'm told that I can't have speech. I can't have notes. I'm supposed to come here and have some kind of spontaneous thought as I stand before you and make it a $50 idea. Now, Moses has to know that lawyers need notes. I mean, I don't. When I scold my children, it goes through 3 drafts. I don't go anywhere without notes. There's this old criminal lawyer, great man who died recently, Arthur Martin, who used to deliver his jury addresses without a podium and without notes. It was amazing. Arthur Maloney was another great criminal lawyer, and he always had notes. And it was a big debate, notes, no notes. And then I found out that Arthur Martin had a photographic memory. He memorized his jury address. He didn't need notes. But Arthur Maloney didn't have a photographic memory, and he needed notes. I need notes. And I gotta have notes, and so I'm gonna stand here with notes, and I know by doing this, Fulford is gonna write something. And I know when he wrote about Mike Bate, here's what he said. He gave the impression, because he used notes, that what he had to say was too important to be improvised. I mean, I'm not getting paid for this. I got to come up with a $50 idea to break even, okay? And because I need notes, because of my handicap, Fulford's going to take a shot at me in the National Post. Why am I doing this? Anyway, a thought has just come into my head. And it's about legalizing marijuana. No, it's not. And fortunately for me, it happens to coincide with the slides that I brought. And fortunately for me, it coincides with the notes that I have. Do you believe for 1 minute that people came up here and didn't give a single thought to what they were doing before they came up here? I doubt it very much. But my idea is about the courthouse. The courthouse. I love courthouses. I love courthouses no matter what the style, no matter what it is. I love Greek revival courthouses. I love British-inspired neoclassical design. I love Romanesque, neoclassical, modern, postmodern, late modern, neomodern. Whatever it is, I love courthouses. Because the courthouse for me is the intrinsic symbol of justice. It reflects the spirit of the judiciary. It reflects the powerful ideals and ideas of the law. It's the symbol of the rule of law. It represents individual and collective rights. It's a dignified place. It's an inviting place. It's a place that must inspire but not alienate. It's a place that must be impressive, even awesome, but not intimidating. It has to be accessible. It has to be tranquil, definitely not pretentious. Have a sense of permanence. Convey the ideas of fairness, equality, and accessibility. Besides Parliament, courthouses are the ultimate expression of our values as a society. Everyone knows that not only must justice be done, it must be seen to be done. And so architecture of courthouses and courtrooms are important. They send crucial messages to anyone that enters. The judge, who is the manifestation of abstract justice, the robe, the high benches, they all convey a message. And the courthouses that the judges sit in administering justice, they're very important symbols. I became a criminal lawyer for a lot of reasons, some complex, some I don't even remember, some romantic. I remember as a youngster reading To Kill a Mockingbird, thinking it was an actual trial, reading about the Scopes trial, monkey trial, reading Anatomy of a Murder, watching on television in the wonderful Old Bailey, the movie Witness for the prosecution. They were all great places. So what a tremendous thing. I could become a criminal lawyer and I could work in these places every day. That would be my workplace. Pretty cool. The old courthouse, the small towns, the center of the community. Justice was done, occasionally injustice was done, but it was always done in these fabulous places. No plant for me, the courthouse. And it struck me as a particularly good reason to become a criminal lawyer, my workplace. So, what do I want to talk about today? I want to talk about where I work. I want to talk about my workplace, the criminal court. The place that I dreamt about in the city that contains the Royal Ontario Museum, the AGO, Union Station, the Royal Alex, all in the grand style, the Toronto Dominion Bank Centre, the Roy Thomson Hall. I want to show you the Toronto courthouses, where most of my work is done, where most people who enter these halls who are alleged victims and accused people and prosecutors and defense counsel and judges, most of all judges, have to go every day. The 3 courthouses in this city that are the busiest courtrooms in Canada. More numbers pass through these courtrooms than anywhere else in the country. And The three places are called 80, the East Mall, a Scarborough strip mall, and 1,000 Finch. The busiest courts in the country. And we're going to look at them. You know, there are three branches of government: the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. And I spend my time in that third branch. Let's take a look at the third branch. So I brought a number of slides, and if I could just see the first one. This is the courthouse. This is called 80 the East Mall. Now, I want to make sure you've got it fixed in your mind where I go every day. Just to the left, because you can't really see it, is a big distribution center called McGregor's Socks Distribution Center. And over here to the bottom left is the indoor go-kart raceway. And then at the right there, which you can't see, is Marla's Fashion Outlet. This is from another vantage point. But it may surprise you that it's exactly the same court. It's remarkable how if you just move around a bit, it changes. Arthur Erickson might explain it, I can't. I normally park there. I don't know if you noticed that there are no windows. Now, this is the single busiest court. This is called the Scarborough Strip Mall Court. It's got, well, let's take a look at the second picture. This has the Dolphin Bingo Hall in it, Merchants Flea Market, the Canadian Collectible Jewelers Market, and a pizza, which is important because you have to eat. My favorite courthouse is at 1,000, oh no, what's that? That's still the Scarborough, oh, that's the front of the Scarborough Courthouse. You'll notice the absence of the archways and the porticos. And those are not marble columns. This, and then ignore the glass box, the big black, the big impressive glass box. On the right is 1,000 Finch. Now, 1,000 Finch is really an important courthouse. And what 1,000 Finch has is two things. On the left is Crazy Joe's Carpets. Now, these, what I have just presented to you, are the courthouses in Toronto. And they look like strip malls, they feel like strip malls, they are strip malls, they're faceless, lifeless, fifth-rate, dead boxes, totally inhospitable to everyone. High carbon dioxide concentrations, mold in the walls, asbestos in the ceilings, cheap fluorescent fixtures, windowless plastic countertops, airless rooms. They're devoid of majesty. They're devoid of everything. are satellite courts. One of the judges condemned to a life working in these so-called courthouses that should never have been born, let alone allowed to survive for over the last 20 years, said, "When you come to work in the dark and leave in the dark, it is kind of depressing. Frankly, this place is brutally ugly. It doesn't look like a place of justice." For me, a courthouse is a place where you're supposed to walk in and have a little moment of awe, where you bond with the history of the law. The only awe in these courthouses is awful. You know before you get to the door, well, anybody who's charged with a crime doesn't want to be there, but you know for sure that you don't want to go into this place. Imagine someday that you're accused of a crime, something that I seriously dream about. And you read To Kill a Mockingbird as a kid, saw the movie. And you think you're driving up to some park, circular driveway. Okay? This is what you drive up to. These are the courtrooms in Toronto. Nobody says, "I'm going to get justice here." No accused, no lawyer. I mean, you might say to yourself, "Oh, I'm coming here to renew my driver's license." But this is where the rule of law is worked out every day? I don't think so. Strip malls obviously evoke no sense of pride or respect or esteem for the judiciary. I recognize there's no necessary correlation between the quality of architecture and the quality of justice administered in any particular building, but I think that there is a correlation between the quality of architecture and the degree of respect that judges are given and that accused people receive and that victims receive. Arthur Erickson said this, "If you suggest to whoever is living there that you respect them, it has an effect. And calm and harmonious aesthetics play a great role. Architecture has a therapeutic effect. These courthouses humiliate the participants. The building has to have a very bad effect on the chance of justice ever succeeding. And who's the judge going to take it out on for his miserable surroundings? Likely the accused. The strip mall courthouse suggests the impotence of the judiciary and the bleakness of the law. And quite frankly, it makes me very angry. And I'm glad I've got the chance to talk about it today. There is somewhere in the government of this province some demented, mean-spirited, ugly little human being who made the decision to open these 3 courthouses and let the administration of justice be administered in these hellholes. And I have no doubt that this little jerk read something that Mies van der Rohe said. Mies van der Rohe said, "Less is more." And this guy concluded that if less is more, then much, much less must be much, much more. And this twisted government official probably thought if much, much less is much, much more, then nothing must be everything. And he gave us nothing. So what's my idea? I say we plant some drugs on this guy. Or at least we sick Emery on him. Get him charged, get him into these buildings, and I promise you within 3 months there'll be a new courthouse in Toronto with a reflecting pool, a gorgeous circular driveway with a park, arched windows, marble columns, and all will be well again. I wanted to bring this to your attention today because I believe what I have just shown you is really a national disgrace. I read somewhere that an idea is something that should incite people. How do we pick up newspapers and magazines like Allure? Every day, 97 issues of that magazine, wonderful magazine. Never anything about courthouses. How do we pick up magazines and newspapers and read about architecture, architecturally magnificent fire halls, architecturally magnificent school lockers, summer homes, post offices built so that the customer is in an uplifted frame of mind when he or she licks a stamp? My idea is this. Let's tear down the strip mall courts, end this blot on our justice system. That's my $50 idea. Thank you.